Chris Carter here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. DK Metcalf is back. He was in the Steelers locker room and talking to reporters. We'll talk about what he said and whether or not he'll make a huge impact in this upcoming playoff game against the Texans after Aaron Rodgers had a big week without him. We'll talk about that and get to our Stars and Skulls grades with Alan Saunders of SteelersNow.com. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Steelers, your daily Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, bringing you your daily dose of all things on the Pittsburgh Steelers. As always, you can find this show in your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to get all of your daily Monday through Friday episodes, as well as our bonus content. We thank you for making us your first listen every day because we're your team every day. And a reminder, the Locked On Steelers podcast is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is now the #1 sports podcasting network in the world. As I said before, we're joined by the man himself, Alan Saunders. You know him, you love him from SteelersNow.com. Alan, you got to be in the locker room. I had other things to tend to while DK Metcalf was making his return to the locker room. People were happy to see him back. And he didn't want to talk too much about the incident. But what was your sense of just where his mind is at, where his focus is at, now that he's back with the team after being 2 weeks on suspension and having to see his team have to gut out a huge win, the biggest win of the season, with him unable to help?
Yeah, I walked in the locker room today right in front of DK Metcalf, and MVS was singing, "Welcome back." Well, just sort of serenading him into the locker room. It was, you could definitely feel that, especially, I want to say, the group of wide receivers really felt that they needed to put it on themselves to try to find a way to get him a chance to get back in the game, to win one of those two games while he was out so that he could get back and get to that playoff game. He was texting them before the game saying, you guys have all you need. I know you can do it. And boy, when you're talking about like a young guy like Calvin Austin, I bet that means a lot. And it was definitely a mutual love fest between DK and the rest of the wide receiver group today. In terms of the incident in Detroit, as you said, didn't really give any details at all about what happened from his perspective. The one thing he did say is he was surprised that the suspension was upheld when he appealed it. And he just, again, credited his teammates for reaching out to him and trying to make him feel like he was still part of the team these last 2 weeks.
I think that's a big part of it. The Steelers get closer because of it. I also think on top of, Aaron Rodgers talked about that win being huge for the team and the momentum that it could potentially build for them going into this playoffs. But I have to imagine, like you said, for Calvin Austin to catch a game-winning touchdown in such a big moment, and then you had big catches from Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Adam Thielen. This receiving group made some big plays in important situations and went through a war with this team's rivals in a do-or-die situation where literally everything hung in the balance. And now they, after coming through that and being proud of themselves, they get their guy back. I feel like that can be a huge, not just schematic boost, but a sort of morale boost for this Steelers team to know that, hey, we got through this. A lot of people, myself included, I was like, I don't know, man. If they can't beat the Browns, it's going to be tough to beat the Ravens, with the Ravens knowing that they can, that they don't have to worry about DK Metcalf. And this group found a way to do it. And so I think, Alan, like, this could be a boost in multiple ways for the Steelers as they get ready for the Texans in the playoffs. But that is a vaunted Texans defense that they're about to face.
It is. I thought that it was a group effort on Sunday. MVS 34 yards, Thielen 43 yards, Calvin 55 yards in the touchdown. Pat Freiermuth had 51 yards. Gainwell and Warren had 100 yards between the two of them. Scotty Miller got involved. Connor Hayward got involved. Johnny Smith got involved. And when you look at this offense, we made a lot about the Steelers making the personnel change and going to MVS and going to Thielen, because that coincided with, in that first Baltimore game, a nice little bump. Like they started playing a little bit better. But those guys weren't doing a lot statistically, even though the team was playing a lot better. And now I think when you look at what they've done here, I do think there's a potential benefit on the flip side that, okay, now you take this group that does have these guys in sync with Aaron Rodgers and ready to go and kind of feeling out process between Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers and these new veteran receivers sort of, coming to fruition while DK Metcalf is out. Now you bring him back to the fold. I think there's a possibility that the Steelers passing offense going into the playoffs is as good as we've seen it all year. The fact they had almost 400 yards against the Baltimore Ravens in a must-win Week 18, very AFC North kind of game, I think says a lot about where this offense is right now.
I think it does too. I mean, and sure, people are going to point to, oh, well, Nate Wiggins went down and Kyle Hamilton went down and those things. The Steelers were banged up themselves. They've been playing with a fourth string left tackle who's been filling in very well. They were missing DK Metcalf in this game. They've been banged up all year. Darnell Washington is a huge piece of this offense. He's not available to this team. You win with who you win with. And that's what they found a way to do. And again, I think that's the whole point, is that they won without two of their most important players in the passing game. I think that's a really good sign for Aaron Rodgers and how he's locking in, and we'll get to him in our grades in a bit. But also for the rest of these guys to fit in where they are. And now with DK Metcalf back out there, now there is that number one presence that can draw the attention of who the Texans need to be aware of, and can create other mismatch opportunities that Aaron Rodgers can pick at that he wasn't really able to pick at when DK Metcalf wasn't on the field. And again, one thing I was concerned about going into this game, DK Metcalf had 148 receiving yards when they first beat the Ravens. He was a huge reason why they won that game. They won by 5. It was a close one down to the wire, but those bombs that Rodgers was able to complete to him, it backed off the Ravens. And so they needed to find a way to win without that as a threat. Now that threat's back, they can use that and they can balance that. And that's the thing that I think is really going to be interesting. And we'll talk more about the trenches in the Stars and Skulls segment. But the way the Steelers are protecting Aaron Rodgers and the way that they're starting to be able to run the ball in spurts, they still haven't had their dominant full control of an entire game run game. But you've seen when the run game does work and when it plays off the pass, this offense can be a lot more dangerous than people give it credit for.
Yeah, and they were able to have more passing yards this time against Baltimore without DK Metcalf than they did, even though he had 100, almost 150 yards.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at this week, that's really important because even though you are getting DK Metcalf back, Derek Stingley is one of the best cover corners in the NFL. And so, it's not just going to be so simple as, well, you get DK back and everything's great. Like, they're going to need those other guys this week too. And I think it's really important going into the playoffs, not only that the Steelers won that game, but they could have won that game and had 200 yards of offense. And I don't think you'd feel quite so good about their chances of going and beating the Houston Texans.
Exactly. I think that's the thing here, is that they found answers and kind of like what Aaron Rodgers said, they can ride that into this game. There's a confidence, and it's sort of like a quiet confidence, because this team, I think of all the teams that are in the AFC playoffs right now, I think people are looking the lowest at the Steelers, but that's where you kind of want to be, right? You won your division. People got to come to you. Houston's got to come to Pittsburgh, play in a cold weather game for a team that plays in a dome. Like, this is a big opportunity for the Steelers to kind of say, hey, let's set our own tone with how they play. And I think the other cool thing about this, Alan, is if this passing offense can be consistently dangerous and get the ball to Pat Freiermuth, get the ball to Calvin Austin, get the ball to DK Metcalf, and then Kenneth Gainwell and Jaylen Warren are working. I don't think anyone's fully seen this offense fly. And if what we saw at the Ravens is a glimpse of what they could do with DK Metcalf being on the field, and that takes off, and that can cause problems for even a defense like the Texans, when they're like, wait a minute, this isn't what we studied of them doing for months on tape when we went back and we said what they did. We've got to adjust to some things, and that's how you can catch a team off guard in a playoff game.
The other part of that too is, they do this against the Ravens. Teams very familiar with one another. I don't think the Ravens are not the best defense in the world, but they are very familiar with what the Steelers are trying to do. And now you go and face a team that honestly the Steelers don't play very often. The last time they saw the Texans was it 2023 in Houston? Yeah. Is there a player left on the Steelers offense from that Pat Freiermuth? Might be the only one. And so I mean, there were guys that were on the team, but certainly not that were, in a significant role the way they are. And so I think this is an interesting way to go about it. They're going to have stuff that is not really all over 18 games of tape available to them this week against the Texans.
I agree. It's going to be a big talking point. We'll examine more of that this week as the week continues. But we got to get to our stars and skulls grades on the Steelers win over the Ravens. It's going to be an interesting week to grade, and I'll explain why when we get to it. But one of the big things we said going into this game was the Steelers made it a mission to improve in the trenches, especially on both sides of the ball, but especially on defense. And considering they swept the Ravens, was that mission accomplished? We'll talk about that more in Stars and Skulls next here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter, Alan Saunders. Stick with us. We'll be right back. But first, I want to remind you this show is brought to you by ZocDoc. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. You want someone in network nearby with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, and helps you walk out feeling confident about your next step. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and you can find them easily on ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone that you truly connect with. I love that you can search for specialty or symptoms and quickly find the right fit. Being able to choose in-person or video visits makes scheduling way easier. You can check the verified patient reviews to get a real sense of the doctor's vibe and the communication style. So stop putting off your doctor's appointments and get the care that you need today. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. We're also brought to you by Ultimate QB. The draft picks positions are set, and so many teams are looking for their franchise QB. Have you ever wished to become a pro quarterback, getting drafted first overall by the Steelers? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you called Ultimate QB Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of a number one draft pick quarterback, and it's your job to lead your team to greatness to help turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. This is the number one QB career mode game on the mobile app stores, and it introduces the most realistic environment with full career control. Sign contracts, train and upgrade yourselves, build chemistry, and evolve your teammates. Give input to your GM on roster moves, play the actual game in 2D, and rise through the ranks to become a pro football legend. You'll deal with the ups and the downs of a QB career, from rookie nerves to playoff drama, and every choice shapes your journey. Ultimate QB is totally free to play, has no ads, and works 100% offline. Perfect for when you want to sneak in a quick game or two on the go. Just head over to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search Ultimate QB in your app store. We've got something special for you guys. Use the promo code LOCKEDON in all caps, and in the game's game store, you can get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate QB, football legend QB1. It's your legacy. Back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast, Chris Carter, Alan Saunders of SteelersNow.com. Alan, let's get to our stars and skulls grades. As always, we do our grading rubric here. 1 to 3 stars is good to elite. 1 to 3 skulls is bad play to an all-time terrible game. And, of course, the dreaded bus ticket. No bus tickets this week, though I bet there's some people out there that want to hand out bus tickets for certain things, whether they're players or non-players, as sometimes we hand them out to just random things that existed. But let's get into our stars this week, Alan. We'll start with our 1 stars. There's a lot of stars to hand out because the Steelers did a lot of things right in this game, and I know they only won by 2, and we'll get into that in a bit. But when I looked back at this game, I saw that there were several things they were able to do right on both sides of the ball that put them in position to win this game, despite the explosive plays the Ravens had in this game. 220 of the Ravens total, I believe it was 359 yards. 220 of them came on 5 explosive plays. The rest of it, they were able to contain. And that's why we start off with the 1-stars. I got Connor Hayward, Isaac Seumalo, Adam Thielen, Malik Harrison, Brandon Eccles, Patrick Queen, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Logan Lee. By the way, Logan Lee had a single snap, and he got a bat. So I gave him one because, hey, you're 1 for 1 and making a play there.
Got that interception off his head, the previous one?
Yeah, it's back-to-back weeks with a star, man.
He just makes plays.
All he does is make plays.
Very enthusiastic guy. Happy for him. Great list, man. I mean, honestly, there's probably a lot of 2s coming too, because I can think of a lot more names that need to be on here. But just I thought Malik Harrison was a guy who really just threw his body around, sort of almost dangerously at times in that game. He was just doing anything he could to make a play. Patrick Queen, he did get beat for the 1 touchdown, but no, I mean, that's not even really a fair assignment. Obviously, the Steelers were hoping to get there with the blitz, and I thought they largely communicated pretty well on defense.
Exactly. I thought that was the thing. And here's the thing about this too, and we're going to get to this more in the skulls, but the Ravens, Derrick Henry had 126 rushing yards in this game.
Yeah.
About 68 of them came on 2 runs, the 41-yard run and a 28-yard run. And on those 2 plays, the way I looked at it, I thought Malik Harrison could have been better on the 41-yard run, and I thought Patrick Queen could have been better on the 28-yard or 27-yard run, whatever that was. I thought those 2 guys, but here's the thing. The rest of the game, those guys stepped up, which is why I gave them a 1-star grade. They gave up some explosives, and Patrick Queen got beat on a play where he was kind of just in a position that they were hoping he wouldn't have to be in, because their blitz would have got home and they would have brought down Lamar Jackson. But they stood up. They stood up, and they were. And when I talked about resilience after the game, on our Monday show, our Victory Monday show that we did, they were 2 of the resilient guys who they could have put their head down. They could have, made more mistakes, but they locked up, they got tighter, and they were huge in keeping Derrick Henry contained. I think he only had 15 yards in the second half.
Yeah, I thought that first play, honestly, the Ravens just kind of guessed right.
Yeah.
On what the Steelers were doing on defense. They kind of just called the perfect play. And so when that happens, it's really hard to sit there and hold guys individually accountable. This is all going to be like this because there's really 5 reps where you really don't like what happened on the defense. And even those plays, some of the guys did their job. In fact, maybe most of the guys did their job. And so it's going to be hard to come by skulls in this game. Good list of stars, though, to start.
2 stars, got plenty to hand out. Nick Herbig, Pat Frymuth, Joey Porter Jr., Derrick Harmon, Kenneth Gainwell, TJ Watt, James Pierre, Alex Highsmith, Dylan Cook, and Calvin Austin with his game-winning touchdown grab. Alan, I want to start with I want to start with Highsmith and Watt and Herbig, the OLBs, because Herbig didn't even play a whole lot, but you could feel when he was in the game. The outside linebackers made their presence felt in this game. Alex Highsmith, though he did, I might have given Alex Highsmith a 3-star grade had he made that sack on. No, not I might have. He would have had a 3-star grade if he sacks Lamar Jackson on the 3rd and 7 play, or the 3rd and 1 play that he scored a touchdown on over Patrick Queen. He makes that sack. It's a 3-star game for him, and it also probably doesn't go down to the wire. I think it puts a lot more pressure on the Ravens, and that really helps. But still, he had 3 pressures. He also had a sack. One of his other pressures led to Derrick Harmon's sack. Alex Highsmith, he made one big mistake in this game, but he showed again why he's the man, and why I think he is ridiculously good at what he does. And TJ Watt, though, someone's like, well, he didn't get a sack. The interception was tipped to him. Well, he still nabbed a huge interception. He also registered 3 pressures, and he was also a big part of them taking away the run when they came at him. So the OLBs continue to be a strength for this team, even when TJ said he's fine, but that man was not at 100%, and he was still making plays.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the most effectively that deployed the three of them in a game all season. You saw Nick Herbig moving around the formation, coming up the middle on a couple blitzes,
Yep.
which looked really effective. Spelling TJ Watt at a nice rate. You know, I don't have the snap counts in front of me, but it felt natural. And sometimes this year it hasn't. And I thought they really impacted Lamar Jackson all game, whether or not they were getting the sack. He did not ever look comfortable in the pocket. He didn't look like he wanted to run, obviously dealing with that back injury. And so the other thing they did a really nice job of, they just kept him in the pocket. They kept him in the pocket and they made him uncomfortable. And I feel like that's what the Steelers did to Lamar Jackson all night. And those three edge guys were a big part of that. Derrick Harmon was too. He got a sack on a chase down. But, the real, like, one of the dangers of a guy like Lamar is giving him those up the middle escape routes where he can just hit the gas pedal and go forward. And those were not there on Sunday night.
They weren't. I put Pierre and Porter here because they literally weren't targeted. Like in this game, they were just avoided entirely. I think Joey Porter officially had one target, no catches. James Pierre wasn't targeted. James Pierre came up on a play and blew up a run play. The cornerback position is much more of an asset to this Steelers team than I thought it would be where they were 2 months ago when Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey were getting cooked left and right. And Joey Porter Jr. was, there's questions about would he make that third year rise that you're expecting him to. He has. James Pierre is right there with him. I think it's truly impressive. And then I think and then you throw in Dylan Cook, who I thought had another really strong game on the offensive line. And again, I said Calvin Austin, the touchdown grab, but also some of the other grabs that he had. That's a big moment for him to show, hey, I am definitely a threat. And then Pat Freiermuth, again, you and I keep pounding the table. Throw the ball to this guy. Can you throw the ball to Pat Freiermuth? Most of the time, good things happen.
Yeah, that was a breakthrough there. I love the shot with Dylan Cook. I thought one of the big differences in Aaron Rodgers' performance this week compared to last week was the time he got in the pocket. Dylan Cook was a big part of that. And then, really, really, I mean, Porter and Pierre, the last drive of the game when Lamar's scrambling, he flips the ball up in the air towards DeAndre Hopkins. At that point, I was like, oh, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is playing in this game.
Yep.
Which is just, I mean, those guys had totally shut him out. So well-deserved attention there. Oh, we still got a bunch of 3-stars too, don't we?
We do. And so this one's a tougher one because normally we have 2, 3 stars. I have 6 3-stars to hand out this week, buddy. So I want you to put your thinking cap on. Give me your best shot at getting all 6 3-star grades.
All right, I might need you to flash me the 1s and 2s again. So
here's a look at the 1s: Connor Hayward, Sayamalu, Thielen, Harrison, Eccles, Queen, Valdez, Scantling, Logan Lee. Among your 2s, Herbig, Freiermuth, Porter, Harmon, Gainwell, Watt, Pierre, Highsmith, Dylan Cook, and Calvin Austin.
All right, well, let's get the free space out of the way. That's one of the best games I've ever seen from a defensive tackle, Cam Hayward.
Yes, sir. I mean, he's up there.
That's a freebie. Okay. Let's look at the offense. Aaron Rodgers and Jaylen Warren.
Absolutely. 11 missed tackles forced by Jaylen Warren in this game.
Dude, the Ravens just gave up trying to tackle him by the end of the game. They were just like, no, we don't want him.
Zach Frazier said that, did you say Marlon Humphrey made some business decisions?
He didn't call out Humphrey specifically, but I think if you go back and look at the tape, you can see the play he's talking about where there's some choices made. All right, I need some more guys. There's got to be an offensive lineman here, and the one that really stood out to me was Troy Fautanu.
Ooh, that's a mistake on my part. Troy's supposed to get a 2. I apologize for Troy's supposed to be a 2 in this game, but there are 2 3-star offensive linemen here.
So that's got to be McCormick and Frazier then.
Absolutely, they kicked some serious patoot in this game. So you have Hayward, you have Rodgers, you have McCormick, you have Frazier, you have Warren. There's one player that you're not thinking of.
Offense or defense?
Defense.
Ooh, okay. So we already got all 3 edge rushers. We got both corners. You got Queen, you got Harrison, you got Cam. Keanu Benton?
Correct. When I look back at the film and you look back, Keanu Benton was a force on the inside in this game, especially against the run. There were so many times he was beating the Ravens to the punch, and that was Tyler Linderbaum he's going up against, a highly respected center, and he was just digging up in the and not letting them run the ball. When you look at the final tally, Cam Hayward had 5 tackles that registered as run stuff for PFF. Keanu Benton had 4, so the 2 of them were just wrecking balls in this game against the run.
He also had like 2 or 3 pressures too, right up the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the other part I was going to get to. And again, I thought about taking him back because he was in on that should have been sack on Lamar Jackson. He had a clean look, but because he had 4 run stuffs in this game, I gave him a break. But he, like you said, he also had 3 pressures, tying Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, and Nick Herbig. All 4 of those guys had 3 pressures. They led the team. The Steelers pressured Lamar Jackson. I think there were 21 dropbacks, I believe, and 16 pressures or something like that. Insane. But they were really getting after it. But there you have it. Your 3-star grades. Cam Hayward. Not much else needs to be said there. He's Captain Cam. He ruled the night. He rules the day. Keanu Benton with him on the D line. McCormick and Frazier on the O line. Jaylen Warren forcing 11 missed tackles, and Aaron Rodgers just doing Aaron Rodgers things, man, making things work with an offense that nobody expected to be able to put up those kind of numbers without DK Metcalf, regardless of who they were facing. Just a really good series of performances there.
See the little Selly, the little fist up, skip Selly. Yeah, that's right. Aaron Rodgers all over the place.
He was all over the place, and if that's the Aaron Rodgers they're about to get in the playoffs, I'd be a little nervous to face them.
They got to keep him clean. They got to keep him clean. I think that was the big difference.
Get after you.
They can. They got great edge rushers. Great
edge rushers. That O-line that's been doing well. But that's the thing I wanted to ask you real quick here. When you look at these stars here, Alan, this Steelers team talked about being more physical this year on both sides of the ball, being able to run the ball, being able to pass protect, and being able to not be bullied off the line of scrimmage to allow the run game to just run them over. Do you consider this a mission accomplished in what they set out to do this year in building those trenches out and making at least an early impact with what is, a lot of young installs on both sides of the trenches?
Absolutely. I mean, I think when you look at what Andy Weidel and Omar Khan tried to set out to do when they took over, was they wanted to build from the trenches out. They used fourth round or better draft picks on 4 offensive linemen and 2 defensive linemen and 3 drafts. And Broderick Jones is hurt. All the rest of those guys are playing great. Also, they're getting significant contributions out of an undrafted tackle, which is unheard of, a 7th round guard. And even, I got to say, like even Logan Lee's playing pretty well. Like it's I understand that there's frustration with this fan base about the status quo, which goes far beyond those guys being in their roles right now. But if you just look at the Steelers from the day they took over to today, the thing they've been trying to do is become a dominant team in the trenches, and they've arrived.
And listen, they might not dominate every single week, but no team dominates every single week in the trenches. But this is a team with a lot of young guys in those trenches, and now they're starting to win. And the team that they were being designed to go up against, they didn't just beat, they swept them out of the playoffs. That to me is huge and says a lot for this front office. I also think it says a lot for, one thing I was considering, like, man, if this team couldn't stop Derrick Henry, if the D-line did get bullied, it might make the front office say, man, we really got to just keep investing in these trenches until they fix it. And I'm not saying that they're done investing in the trenches, but maybe they can sit back and say, hey, you know what? We've accomplished the mission here. Let's go get our wide receiver. Let's go get this. Let's go get that. Yeah. I know. And the next day. But I do think it's a good sign for the development of this team that they accomplished that mission in just 1 year's time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was just 1 year, but it was definitely true. It all came together over the course of the season. I don't think maybe other than Frazier, there was one piece coming into this season that you could plant your flag and say, yes, this guy absolutely will be the guy going forward at the spot for this team. He was probably the only one. And now you got about 6 or 7.
There you have it, a 6-7. Look at you. You just ruined some parents' nightmare who's watching this show with their children. But we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we got to get to the skulls, and we got to talk about the group that really did get beat up the most this game. We'll talk about that next year on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter, Alan Saunders, stick with us. We'll be right back. But first, remind you, this show is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the game tips off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited-time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during happy hour always brings something new. You get boosts, bonuses, and surprise. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app, see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. The NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Back here in the Locked On Steelers podcast, Chris Carter with Alan Saunders back on the show here. We got to get to our skulls grades here. And kind of like you noted before, not a whole lot of skulls to hand out this game, particularly because a lot of the guys that made mistakes made up for them. I did have 2 1 skulls to hand out, and they're light, but Chris Boswell, Asante Samuel gave up a play, really didn't do much else in this game. But Chris Boswell just, I know the extra point might have been tipped. I was trying to look at it. I still haven't seen the angle of it, but
I didn't see it tipped. I thought the trajectory was going that way. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, I think that's fair. And I don't know. I mean, I guess this is the significance of the extra point, even though he did make a 57-yarder. That was probably,
and that's why it's a 1.
Yeah. And then who's the other one here? Scotty Miller.
No. What's his face? Asante Samuel Jr.
Asante Samuel. Yeah, he was out there for some of the confusion on one of those deep passes. Yeah. I don't think he was the primary guy, but I think there was just confusion in general, and he probably contributed to it. I could have thrown a skull Jonnu Smith's way. I didn't think he blocked very inspired in this game and didn't do much in the passing game, but you really got to nitpick to find a bunch.
That's the thing, is that I was going through the film, and the guys who I found to be culprits, it was minor, for Jonnu Smith's lack of blocking. There was that one pass where he was wide open and Aaron just sailed it. I know Aaron was like, you gotta go deeper, but I'm like, buddy, there's no one else around him. Just lob it to him. But I feel you on Jonnu. I think you can guess who my 2-3 skulls here. I have no 2 skulls. I have 2-3 skulls.
It's the safeties.
Yeah, it's the safeties. I literally have it on the background here. But Jalen Ramsey, Kyle Duggar, just ate up by that deep passing game. And I think part of it is they were looking for the run a lot. They were trying to help as much as they could, but they got caught peeking in the backfield sometimes or just late. Jalen Ramsey getting beat, with giving up inside leverage on the touchdown. And then Duggar, I thought there were a couple plays he was out of position too. But again, Lamar Jackson scored with touchdown passes of 64, 50, and 38 yards. The safeties are supposed to keep that lid tied on. Now, the reason I'm not doing bus tickets for these guys because they played very well for most of the season. Kyle Duggar's been a huge part of a lot of what they did well in the middle part of the season. Jalen Ramsey's made plenty of plays this year, and I think they can bounce back. And I think that's the other thing. I don't think Jalen Ramsey took this game well, even though there was a huge win for the team. I think he felt like he let his guys down, not just for the touchdown, but he was the one that got beat on the Isaiah Likely throw that could have set up the game-winning field goal for the Ravens had they made it, and that could have been their season. I feel like these guys are holding themselves accountable, but the Steelers need them to lock in and play like they did at the earlier parts of the season when they first became a safety tandem.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of late adjustments on defense in this game, and I think the last big touchdown was one of those that bit them, where you see Joey Porter Jr. giving a signal, almost like a second or so before the snap, and it sure doesn't look like anybody's looking at him. And then he carries, was it Walker, I guess, instead, and they leave Flowers wide open. And I think that was just a matter of one guy's trying to do one thing and some other guys are trying to do something else, and they don't end up on the same page. But they were really effective in that over the course of the game. There was no underneath passing. Like there was no rhythm passing from the Ravens. That pass rush kept getting there because the moving nature of their coverage was keeping Lamar from being able to get a good, clear picture of what was happening pre-snap and making quick decisions. And that's why almost every pass rush snap ended under pressure. And so, you can give skulls out, and certainly these guys didn't play well, but I think also you just look at what the Steelers were trying to do, and it was confuse Lamar, and you got to take some chances to do that. And I think they probably took a couple too many. They got burnt for it, I guess I should say. Maybe not took too many, but I think overall the idea and the game plan was sound.
I agree. The plan made sense. I think they just expect these guys to make a few more plays. Kyle Duggar made an interception on Shedeur Sanders, but he also allowed that duck of a touchdown. Last week. I think they need him to step up. Playing the way he was when he was playing.
They need Ramsey to break that last pass up too.
I agree.
He's new to safety, and I get it. Like that's the other part of this is that I don't expect perfection from him from like a technique standpoint, but that was just ball, air, chase, hit. He's one of the best ever at that, and didn't come up with it.
And just like I said about Aaron Rodgers needing to bounce back from a bad game, that's what I think that Jalen Ramsey has to do. If he can come out in this next game and be sound and be in position and not allow CJ Stroud to hit on the big plays, could go a long way to the Steelers team winning their first playoff game since 2018 or 2017, excuse me.
Oh, it was same. The year season thing gets you.
It gets
is it 2026 or is it still 2025? I don't know. It's in the NFL world, it's still 2025.
Right. I feel you there. But Alan, thanks so much for joining us here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Let people know they can find you, follow you, get more of your work.
Saunders_PGH on social media. SteelersNow.com is where you can find my written work and my podcast, Steelers Morning Rush and Steelers Afternoon Drive, on the Steelers Now YouTube page or anywhere you find podcasts.
Absolutely. He is Alan Saunders. Alan, thanks so much for joining us here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Thank you all for joining us here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, wherever you get social media. My handle's always at Carter Critiques. You could read my work in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette by going to post-gazette.com. You can find me here on the Locked On Steelers podcast every day, Monday through Friday. On your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this if you enjoyed. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to get all of your daily Monday through Friday episodes. Back here tomorrow with more on your Steelers right here on the Locked On Steelers podcast.